Hello, my name is Simon and this is the Retro News Roundup. To start, how about the fitting news that the Video Game History Foundation released a fascinating video on the discovery of the Eclipse demo made for the Game Boy. It's said to have sold Nintendo on the idea of 3D gaming, and it's well worth a watch. The full video is linked to in the description below. Next, in last month's Day of the Dev showcase, Digital Eclipse announced it's to release Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, in 2024. It's an interactive history of probably the most llama-tastic man to have ever lived. Let's start with the obligatory Arcade Archive titles for the PS4 and Switch. There was a quartet of them last month: Pole Position 2, Aero Fighters, Mystic Warriors and Solitary Fighter. Then the Switch Online service added 3 new N64 games in December: 1080 Snowboarding, Harvest Moon 64 and Jet Force Gemini. Next, SNEG launched a heap of SSI and Mindscape games on Steam and Good Old Games, including, but not limited to, Fantasy Collection, Star Command and Prophecy of the Shadow. Finally, there were 2 other Evercade games released in November that I forgot to mention. Oops. They were a pair of dual carts, the first being Good Boy Galaxy and Witch and Whiz, the second Demons of Asterborg and Demons of Asterbros. This is empty again. This section was clearly on the naughty list, huh? It was a Merry Christmas for 8-bit computer homebrew enthusiasts, with 9 ZX Spectrum games released across December. They included Johnny the Ghost, Arctic Attack Xmas, Isa Brave, Cursed Castle, Rondure Sorcerer, The Mandarin 2, The Bark, The Mijadore Vase, and Noon 30 Shovel Duck. The Commodore 64 also got 6 new titles: Forest Saver, Delve Deeper, Fragile Gamebert, Santa's Troubles, Briley Witch Chronicles 2, and a port of The Secret of Monkey Island. Moving on from 8-bit, Meatball bounced onto the Amiga, Planet's Rescue Mission was completed successfully for the Atari XL XE, Doomed Peshki Pac-Man was rescued and plonked onto the Commodore Plus 4, and lastly Detonator exploded onto the Atari ST. Finally for this section, a multi-format release, Santa's Workout, coming down the chimney for Amiga and Commodore 64 owners. Just one game for this segment, Stuntman Seymour on the Amiga, a title that made it to other formats such as the Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum and Amstrad CPC, but this iteration was never completed. It's now available to download, however, and is largely playable, aside from the omission of a 2-player mode. 2 English language translations were completed last month, one for Far East of Eden, Zyria for the TurboGrafx CD, and the other for Zatch Bell, Electric Arena 2 for the Game Boy Advance. So yes, that's all for this episode, but as always, thanks so much for watching. In any case, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and have a happy new year.
As revenge for my wife, my daughter, and myself,